everybody, welcome to a bonus minimum day episode of Simple Art at Home with me, Laura Houston. Earth Day is April 22nd, so today we are going to do an art project in the theme of Earth Day, but in the style of stained glass art. So before we start drawing, let's take a look at some examples of what stained glass looks like. I want to give you some background information. Here's an example of a large stained glass window. It's in the Holy Trinity Church in London. Here you can see some examples of stained glass windows in homes. Look very closely. Stained glass is made from individual panes of cut glass, and they are put together to create a work of art. The picture on the left is a Victorian home that was built during the time of 1837 to 1910, and the picture on the right is an example of a modern stained glass window in Florida. Here we see a picture of some stained glass windows in a mosque in Iran. Stained glass windows are used all over the world, and take a moment to look at the reflection of the colors on the carpets and the columns. Henri Matisse also is famous for creating stained glass, and here we see some of his work that dates to 1952. Stained glass can also be used in products in our homes. Tiffany & Company is very famous for its stained glass lamps and chandeliers and windows. You can see a beautiful lamp on the left, and it was created in 1901. And then you can also purchase today sun catchers that hang in your window made of stained glass. They can be really beautiful. Here's an example of a piece of student artwork that's in the style of stained glass. Now this was made with tissue paper. Since we're working at home and not everybody has tissue paper, I'm going to show you how to do something like this but with using crayons. So we are going to do an Earth Day inspired art project in the style of stained glass. And remember, Earth Day is April 22nd. Let's do some art. So for our project today, you are going to need a pencil and a good eraser, something to color with, and this could be colored pencils or pastels or even paints. And hopefully you have something that you can outline with in black, but a black crayon works perfectly fine. And you'll need some scissors and something to trace some circles with. And when we get to that point, you can pause the video with your space bar and go and search for these items. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a regular piece of paper. And just to show you, the paper that I am using is 8.5 inches by 11 inches. Your paper can be any size, but just so you know the size that I am working on. So the first thing you're going to need to do is to get some sort of a round object, and this part is optional, but I think it will look very nice. I am going to curve the top of my paper and actually cut it. So I'm just using my plate and trying to line it up here. I'm going to make a nice curve shape up here. And I labeled these ahead of time. This is my top curve. As you can see, I'm going to be using several different objects from the kitchen. And I'm just going to take this curve down a little bit more because I want the top of my curve to mimic a stained glass window. And then I'm going to use my scissors to cut that curve. And this part is completely optional. Your paper that you're using today can be square. It can be a rectangle, it can actually be round, it can be any shape that you want to. I always just offer you suggestions, and I want you to take my beginning ideas and use my ideas to kind of inspire you for your own art project. So whatever I do today, I'm just making suggestions. Okay, so we are going to create an art project in the, we want to be inspired by Earth Day. So I have another plate here, and actually it's a little bowl, and it is, about 5 1/4 inches wide, just to give you an idea of the size. And I'm going to turn it over and place it about right here because I want to leave space. There's going to be a sun up here and a crescent moon over here in this section. So here we go. I think this is a good placement right here. And I'm going to trace, this will be my Earth for our Earth Day inspired project. Okay, and then I am going to use a cup. So I'm going to use both sides of the cup. I'm going to put the sun up here. So as you can see, I've labeled my cup and I just want part of the sun showing. And I'm going to try to center it at the top up here. Let's see, I think it'll look good. Yeah, about right here because that gives us plenty of room. So I'm going to trace this very carefully. All right, and then from here, I'm not going to use a ruler, but I want some rays coming out from my sun. So something like this. I'm going to start with one long one, and then maybe a shorter one here. I'm going to alternate. They're like little triangles. And then again, I'll do a longer one here. Something like that. And maybe part of one coming off right there. And I'm going to continue this, and they don't have to be perfectly spaced. It can be anything that you want. Some can be narrower or wider than others. Make one come off here, and then maybe the beginnings of one up here. So it kind of goes off the page. And then I'm going to use the bottom of my plastic cup for a crescent moon. And I will put the crescent moon, around here. So I'm going to go almost all the way around, but not completely all the way around. I'll just go real light up here. And in order to turn this shape into a crescent moon, I'm just sketching with my pencil. It's kind of going to go like this. And again, it might take you a little bit of practice. Does not have to be perfect. I'm just doing a quick sketch. And when I look at this, I think I want to bring it over more, kind of like that, something like this. And I will outline with a pen in just a few minutes and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to start by outlining those main features with a thicker black pen. And if you have a Sharpie, you can use a Sharpie or a crayon, works just fine. So I'm just going to take a moment, trace this. I'm going to put other lines on this paper because it will be in the style of stained glass, but the other lines that I go through and do are going to be with an ultra fine point Sharpie pen. So I really want to make sure that these are thick and bold, and I'm going to actually go around this again. So here's my crescent moon, is something like this. Take it around here. Crescent moon is a moon that is not a complete circle, not a whole circle. Now I'm going to make this a little bit thicker. I'm going to do the same thing with this part. I like the main objects to really stand out because I think that looks better. It's always good to do a variety of line weights. So there we have our crescent moon. Yeah, and now I will do this Earth. And remember, this is going to be more of an abstract piece. I mean, and by abstract, you know, people can look at it and get different meanings out of it. I think you will be able to understand that we are creating Earth, Moon, and Sun. But still, we're going to be placing all kinds of lines in the style of stained glass. So it's okay if it's not perfect. And it's not going to look like real life. It's going to be very simplified. So in this case, you really don't need to make it perfect. It's not a realistic piece of art. That's not what we're going for. Okay, so I have an earth, a moon, a crescent moon, and now I'm going to outline my sun. Let's see, I'm just making it very, very thick. I think it's going to be worth it if you take the time to do these lines heavy or thick at the beginning. And then I'm going to just, these will be the triangular rays coming off the sun. Again, I want them to be thick. Takes a little bit of time, but it really will add to the overall effect of our artwork. And you know, if there's all different ways that you can create a stained glass effect on art. A lot of times, you know, if you remember back when you were in the classroom, you may have done some stained glass art with tissue paper. But on Simple Art at Home, I always try to do projects where I know students will have the supplies at home, and I know just about all of you have crayons, and we could still make a beautiful piece of art in the style of stained glass just using crayons and paper. You don't have to have fancy art supplies. And I'm going to also outline the outer edge, but I'm going to take a moment and erase this extra part. Okay, so one last part of outlining, and then I will put my thick black pen away. And again, you can definitely do this with crayon. Any type of marker will do. You can do this with colored pencil. I just think that when you're making a piece of art that you want to be very colorful, black outline will really make those colors pop. When you do something like this, notice that I use a piece of wood to cover my nice tabletop. That way I don't worry about getting stains on the wood. What you're looking at is like a safety cover that I don't want to get paint and marker and crayon on my nice black table, because I have a table underneath the wood that you see. So you might want to consider, if you're doing this at home on like a grandparent's table or a parent's table, putting something protective underneath your art so that you don't hurt the furniture. And you know, you usually see me wear my apron too. I do the same thing, because sometimes when you're working with certain pens, they don't wash out certain paints too. Okay, so I'm still continuing. This is a thicker outline. I know it's a little time consuming, but it's worth it in the end to do an outline. I'm not using a ruler. You can if you want to try to get a perfectly straight line, but again, we're not striving for perfection with this art project. Sometimes I think it looks better when you have natural lines. I'm going to keep going. I forgot actually to add the line up here. It should go all the way through. There we go. Yeah, don't forget to outline up here. I don't know why I stopped. Sometimes I have to step back and look at my work, and what you should do that too. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Again, I have my sun, my earth for Earth Day, and my moon. Now we're going to add the stained glass element, and this part is easy. There's no wrong way to do this. You know, this project is for all grade levels. All we're going to do is start taking lines, and we're going to divide up the paper. And your lines can be curved, they can be straight. I do know that I don't want huge blocks of open space going through my sun or my earth, and I'll show you in a few minutes what I mean by that. I am just cutting across my art. You can even start in the middle right here and bring lines down. And what we are doing is we are kind of mimicking what a stained glass window might look like. I'm going to break this up even more right here because I think that would look good. And I'm going to go through right here. This needs to be broken up so you can look at the spaces. We don't want spaces that are too big. I'm just going through here. And I want to make sure, especially I think my earth will look better if I have a lot of smaller spaces in my earth. There we go. And maybe some cutting through here. And I think, this is looking big right here. I think I'll cut through some of this. As you know, stained glass is made of lots of pieces of cut glass. We don't want to forget to cut through our moon over here. And I think I'll cut this right here. Maybe a little bit right here and one more here. And maybe a couple more right here. I think that's good. Okay, I'm going to stop. Now the idea with stained glass is we are going to color our objects in the same color scheme. So the earth is going to be blues and greens. So why don't we start with our earth? And I've already set aside some colors, some blues and greens. And my goal is I don't want the same color to be right next to itself. I'm going to try to space these out. So the earth, has blues and greens because of when you see it. If you've ever seen pictures of Earth from space, you can see the land and the ocean. So I'm just going to kind of think like, where would I want oceans to be and where would I want land to be? So the blue is the ocean. So I think I'll do one more. Looks like this is blue too. I'll do another blue right here. So I have 3 different blues that I'm going to be using. And then maybe I'll do one more here. And let's see, where else could I do a blue? Maybe I'll mix one right here. And you can press as hard as you want to or as light as you'd like to. So this would be like the edge of ocean. And then here I'm going to start adding in some greens, which would represent the land. So do you see how I'm making the greens as a diagonal right here? Because I don't want them side to side. I think it will look better if I try to alternate the color. And from a distance, it will look really good. And remember, we're not trying to be totally perfect. Maybe I'll do another green right here. I'm just gonna fill it in with blues and greens. And you can alternate it too, just with pressing lighter. If you only have one blue, you can just kind of color some dark and light. Like I can do a lighter blue like that. And I want to do like a larger green patch going down this way. And over, let's see, over here. There we go. And now I'll start adding more blues again. Maybe I'll do a few more greens over here. this way we'll do maybe a blue section. Okay. If you do the colors randomly without planning ahead, it will look more abstract, but I do want this to resemble Earth. So I'm specifically trying to group the colors together. It's like, oh, this would be an ocean right here in this section. But you can, if you decide to mix up your colors, it'll look more abstract. It's up to you. It depends on the look that you want. Okay. And I think if you look at the Earth from outer space, it has more ocean, more blue. So I'm just going to kind of keep that thought out there too. There we go. And now I'm going to start adding in some more green. Some greens over here. And I'll do, it's okay if, you know, some of them, I can also kind of blend a little bit like this. If I don't want it right next to the same color. And I'll add some green here. And I think I will do some green here. And kind of mix. You can also mix if you want. Like mix the two in one. Okay, so we have our blue sections. I think we'll do a little bit more blue right here. And then I'll do a green. And this Earth will really stand out against the background. And I'll do one more green. There we go. Okay, so there is our Earth. And I might go back and touch that up. I don't know, we'll see how it looks. Next, I'm going to move on to the moon. So with the moon, I'm going to use yellow with a little bit of brown over the top of it. So in this case, I'm just going to use all yellow here, even though it's colored in different sections, it's sectioned off. But you'll see how I add a little bit of brown to it to make it kind of stand out. So I'm going to do a little bit of brown right here. And then let's do a little bit of brown right here. And let's do a little bit more brown over here. See how that trick really helps it so it's not so flat looking? I could darken my brown a little bit more. There. So let me hold this up for you so you can see how it's starting to look. Okay, now we're going to move on to the sun. So for the sun, I'm going to use red, orange, and yellow. And I have my colors right here. However, all of the rays, I'm just going to do orange and yellow, and I'm going to put a little bit of red in the sun. So my sun will mostly be orange and yellow, but the red will add some contrast. I really hope you take pictures of your artwork and send it in to me because I love seeing what you do. And I can also share it on a future episode if you'd like. So I'm going to do maybe just 3 reds. And I think I'm going to mix a little bit of orange in with this red right here. Okay, so now I'm going to go through, and the rest of my sun will be yellows and oranges. Put some yellow here. I'm going to do some more yellow here because I think the lightness will help, the lightness of the yellow. Most of our background will be dark. We're going to use blacks and purples and some deep blues. So that's why I really want the earth and the sun to stand out in nice contrast. I can even add a little bit of orange here. And I will do maybe some orange to yellow right here. If you want to play around with the colors a bit, you can. So there we have the main roundness of the sun. And now for this, I'm just going to use all orange and yellow. And so since this triangle is separated, I will break up the color, like with that look right there, but you can decide how you want to color yours in. It's helpful if you get your colors out ahead of time and really decide how you want this to look. And like I said, I figured this out. I even, like over here, I practiced a bit on paper to see what the colors look like before I colored on my main piece. So here's this. Okay, I'm just gonna go through. I think I'll start this one with orange and pull in yellow here. Kind of blend it. Feel free to do that as well. And maybe I'm gonna put some orange right here. I'm pressing pretty hard. I do like my colors to be vibrant, and you really can get vibrant colors with crayons. And you can see how the black pen really makes everything stand out that we did. Okay, so there we have our sun. And now I'm going to color in the background. And the background is the sky. And for the sky, I'm going to be using black, purples, 2 different purples, and a deep blue color because I really want a contrast. I want my background to be as dark as possible, and it will really make our Earth be the center point of this project since this is about Earth Day. It will really make the Earth stand out. And remember, the sky is like outer space. That's the look that we are going for. Our stained glass window is a beautiful outer space view of our Earth and sun. I'm going to add some black in here. I think it looks good if you can choose at least 3 different colors for your sky. And it looks good if the colors are deeper, darker colors, because as I said before, you do want the contrast. Let me see if this is different. Yeah, that's different. So it's a little different purple. I like purple and black for night sky. I'll put some more purple here. I'm gonna peel back this crayon really quickly. When you press really hard, the crayon gets worn down quickly. And plus, you all know that I practiced these the day before. I used my crayons to practice because it's necessary for me. I want to make sure it's going to come out the way I thought it might come out. Sometimes it doesn't, and I change my plan. It's kind of like a rough draft. But basically, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of this. I'm alternating between my purples and my black and my deep blue. And pretty soon you're going to see, when you look at this from a distance, you can see the way that our Earth really stands out in a pretty way. Okay, so here we have our finished product, and what we've done is we've highlighted our special Earth for Earth Day, and then we have our sun at the top and a crescent moon over here along the side, and then the background is filled in with purples and blues and black. So I hope you enjoyed learning about how to create a piece of art in the style of stained glass. You can do this with any subject matter. All you do is draw lines through the paper, and the possibilities are endless. And I hope on this Earth Day you remember how special our Earth is and think about the importance of recycling and taking care of nature and not wasting water, and do all the things that you do because you can make a difference. I hope you enjoyed this art project, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. See you next time.